Our world is constantly changing. This content will help you get creative, have fun, learn to make money, and spread your awesome. Here's how this new economy will work for you.
Well, I'll start now. The biggest thing is, one thing I got really excited, and this is like really exciting. So Zoom, we're all using this interface in Zoom. What's happening, and this is why it reminded me of that I wasn't recording, but when you actually record, it strips the two files. So there's a visual file, you have your movie file, visual, and then you have your audio file. And what the biggest thing is taking advantage of these platforms that simultaneously I can hit two birds with one stone. So what I've started doing is actually interviewing people during this time to help support small businesses, people that are stressed, doing different interviews to help people. But what it's allowing me to do is that I can actually record it, post it as a YouTube video with captions, or I can actually take the audio file, and I've loaded it up on SoundCloud, and I've started my own podcast from it. Yes, okay. Yes. Okay, this is great. There's so many platforms, and I know they're always changing. And the other thing is that I've noticed right now is a great time for platforms like even SoundCloud. You can also caption live to Zoom. Wow. Okay, cool. You guys got to jump in here and teach me here some stuff. This is all I'm learning stuff every day. I love it. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Talking about splitting the files. So the one thing is right now, SoundCloud, almost every platform that I'm using, because of everything that's happening right now, there's 50% off a lot of services and platforms for a year. So if you're thinking this is the direction you want to go into, some of these platforms are great because when you're recording, you actually can split files. So you can have a podcast for people that just want the audio. You can have the captions for people that just want to listen to that. So the thing is, take advantage of these tools. And the most valuable, the days are gone of creating all this fancy B-roll and these cameras that are so fancy. People just want your information. And that's the most important thing to remember, is just put it out there, and over time, and getting a sponsor where maybe you have a sponsor. So I work closely with Kingston Economic Development Corporation, and they're sponsoring one of my channels. And that's something where I'm providing some of their content, connecting with other small businesses. And that's a great opportunity where you can actually leverage that in a way that's allowing for you to not go into debt by creating content. That should be something that you're only advancing. Cool. I'm loving all this sharing. We need to turn this into our own little book, resource booklet today. I'm curious, would you watch a deaf person signing read captions? Yeah. Oh no, Leah, I was actually thinking about that. I was talking, 100%. I was actually talking to one of the interpreters about this. So yeah, I think this is something that I've actually asked her to record her signing right now. So Leah, so we'll talk. Oh, so exciting. We'll chat about this after. How are we doing for time? We're good. Okay. So we're going to move into that's perfect segue of email marketing. Email marketing is one of those things you could go really, really down this could be a full day, a full week course on email marketing, especially if you're going into testing, A/B testing, and going into all that. But right now, just as out of curiosity, does anybody use email marketing platforms? And if you do, which one? If you can take a second, just share. I know. Thanks, Leah, for sharing. Oh, no, thanks, Carrie. That's great. Oh, you're on it. Carrie is so fast. This is amazing. Good job, MailChimp, Flowdesk, HubSpot. Cool. Wix. Oh, I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know they had. Who said they? Kaylee. This is awesome. MailChimp, okay. Hi, Lisa. Cool. So we're kind of getting a sense of, there's MailChimp has always been, I know that they changed a lot of things. They didn't sync up with Shopify stores. I know they lost a lot of people. That was a big change. I think they stopped that relationship. But so I've always used MailChimp as well. I've used ConvertKit, I think. I don't know how I say it. I might say it wrong. I think when you just, think. Oh, hey. Hi, Brandy. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. I like to use audio faster. It's in the way of my keyboard.
Oh, no, that's awesome. Sorry, did you want to jump in? I would love to hear from you.
No, I was just saying that it was ConvertKit. That's all.
Oh, perfect. Oh, thank you. Yes, I was like, when you just see something and you've never actually used it? Yeah, awesome. I appreciate you doing an audio or I wouldn't hear it. Aw, nice to meet you, Brandy. It's nice to see faces. Yay. So all these different platforms are great. But the thing is, I'm speaking like to people that maybe like, Kaylee's like, I suck at it. I don't like it. But the biggest thing is, the most important thing is to find a platform that really speaks to you, that works for you, that's easy, all the different interfaces. That's why, when people choosing their websites, if they're doing templates, all those different things, it totally depends on what you prefer. The thing is, I think a lot of people for a long time at the beginning, everyone thought of, oh, awesome. I'm going to have a whole full day after this looking up everyone. So with email marketing, the thing is about it, a lot of people for a long time, it was like sending out all these different, newsletters, all these things, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. What I would suggest is email marketing is looking at, this is the time right now to look at the places where you can automate in the sense where you're not losing that authenticity. But for example, Airbnb does a fantastic example of building. So, you sign up to, has anyone used Airbnb? I'm assuming some of us have used Airbnb, and there's that nice platform where you sign up, they're saying, hey, we're excited, your stay has booked, and then they have conversation, only 2 more days, they're hyping you up, and then, you do your stay, and they say, how was it? And so you almost like, that it's automated, but there's still that excitement when they're saying, we're so excited that you're coming, you're almost there. Even though it's automated, there's still that amazing, like, you're being taken care of. And I think for a lot of people, we forget that we can use our email marketing on maybe one of the processes that we have in our business. So maybe someone, and this is why it's really important to make sure that your website's optimized, that making sure, a lot of people lose out on the opportunity of actually having people just be on their website and like, oh, I'm interested in knowing more about this. And people do put their email in. And so a lot of templates, I know people I saw use Wix, some people might use Squarespace, WordPress, Shopify, all these have really, really easy, accessible plugins or little tools you can drop in and put in for people to subscribe to your email. But the biggest thing that I would go back before even email marketing, it's kind of going back to what I said initially about getting featured and building those strategic partnerships, is that it's really, really important that people, oh yeah, it's true. People will be back. I agree. I think this is just, like anything, it's a dip, but it will only come back stronger. I think the relationships people are building right now is going to only connect them. We know when things are safe, people are going to be more and more inclined to actually spend time together. I think incredible things are going to come out of this, to be honest. There's a lot of great good I already see between relationships. But the one thing is, this is the time, and this is why I was telling Carrie, I really wanted to chat with all of you guys, because this is the time where we have the actual time to sit and look at the people that we've connected with. So our email marketing list, maybe you don't have one, maybe, you feel like you suck at it, have it as one purpose for you, just to start. Have make sure that the people that you've already connected with, ask them, say, hey, would you like to be on my, a lot of people, I will say, because I've done this, I would say 85 to 95% of people would say yes, and yes, I'd be on your email list. So you build that, because again, you really, really want to make sure that you're building that relationship with them. And it doesn't have to be so two things, taking advantage of already going back to that database. Do you have people's email addresses? And every single podcast, there's tons of podcasts out there that talk about how to use your email marketing. But the biggest thing is, are you taking advantage of it? It's there. It's a tool that the money, every single podcast I've listened to, they said the money is in the email. I was going to finish up with this, Carrie, and then, and then we're going to take a 5-minute break, because I need to probably take a break too. I've been sitting still for a long time. Hopefully I'm not putting any of you to sleep. Okay, so the last, just a couple little things before we jump into social media and the other ones. Actually, you know what? I can come back to it, because there's lots of things to say about it. So it's 10 o'clock now. Every hour, I guess that everybody had a tea. Be awesome today. Cheers, ladies, to whatever you're drinking. I guess it's only 10. Oh, Friday morning. Can you guys all hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, great. So awesome. Hi, Allison. Gosh, I hope one day I get to see all of you and give you a big hug. How about that? It'd be really nice. This is a very different medium for me, especially that I'm very virtual hugs. I'll take all of the hugs, all the hugs. I actually really miss having a hug. When you live alone, you really notice that you miss human interaction. So,
I will share one little story with you, Claire, because I feel like you need some feedback right now.
Oh, great.
So I was convinced, to the point that I almost contacted Carrie, that this was yesterday. Oh. I was at my desk. I was sitting here. I was prepared. I had less sleep than I would like, but I was like, I'm not going to miss this. This is going to be great. And then I couldn't find the link. And about 10 minutes in, it occurred to me that was because it was not Friday yet. And I had to shamefully go tell my husband that I was wrong.
You know what? It's okay. It happens to the best of us. I think we changed the dates around. So maybe you subconsciously heard Carrie and I going back and forth between the dates, just figuring everything out. There was a lot of changes, as you know, in the last week and a half for everyone. Awesome. Oh, Becky, it's nice to see you. Oh, this is so great. Okay, so I want to jump in a couple more things. Email marketing. It's really big. I think the biggest things is keep it really simple. Again, it's really, I forget what the ratio was, but it's really important that, I think it's 80-20. So 80% of the content you're giving is either inspiring, educating, building the community. And then the other 20% is that maybe it's the selling piece. If you're just inundating your customer with just selling, putting this stuff out, they're just going to be like, see you later. And how many times do we, get subscribed to an email and you're just like, you know what? Reason for leaving. Well, you keep trying to sell me every time. I'm not looking to buy anything, every single time. And so I think it's really important that assuming you have your database, you have an email, platform, there's lots of tutorials out there. So let's assume you're working on MailChimp, or you're working on Flowdesk, or you have one of these platforms. The biggest thing is that you have to remember there's a human on the other side. And so you got to find, the voice that you find in the video content, the voice that are on the street. One thing I notice is that it takes a long time, but really be aware of the person you are. So what do you look like on video? Are you the same person in an email when you write? So from writing, from the video, from photographs, all those things have to match up, because I think sometimes you probably realize, when you look someone up and then you've met them and then you saw a video, you're like, are they the same person? And it can be really overwhelming or really confusing. And that right there, you miss the market. You've missed your customer. People like familiarity. They like a little novelty, but again, it's mostly familiarity. and then a little bit of novelty. So it's really important that everything, the traffic that you're driving has to make sure that you're kind of using the same vehicle, you're in the same car all the time, that video is reflecting, you know, maybe you're a quirky personality or maybe a very organized, making sure that every part of your business is reflecting that. So maybe some of you might not know this or may have guessed, I have ADHD, and I try really hard to keep things as linear as possible. It's not as easy for me, for some people, and so I've allowed myself to have a little structure, and within that I can kind of go crazy. So for today I have my, you know, the 6 topics, and then I can go all over the place within them, but I will try and keep it within there. I might jump around. So that's got to really reflect on the way that you communicate with your audience. And that's the one thing, is that you have to, and how do you know that? How do you do that? Well, you ask your really close friends. You ask people. I have always, I would say every single time I've ever posted anything, you know, substantial out there, I would send it over to my sisters. I have 4 amazing and critical sisters. And 3 very critical brothers, but I don't think they have any interest in looking at any of this stuff. And so it's really important to have proofreaders, people that look at the stuff. So if you're sending out an email, I know I miss words all the time. I misspell things. So it's nice to have someone that goes through and says, you know, cut all this bull, Claire, you're just rambling, get rid of that. You know, it doesn't match up what, you don't need to be doing that. And so the biggest thing is with emails, with all this, it's the one chance, like, you're communicating with your audience. That's your brand. So making sure it's complementing already the existing video content, what you're doing. Something else that I really like, has anybody read the book The 5 Love Languages? It's a really good book. I absolutely love it. So if anybody wants to read another, it has nothing to do with business, it's about relationships. Yay. What I really loved was they actually, oh, yay. Yes, I agree. It makes you really think about, when you're building relationships with people, what people need. And guys, I need lots of words of affirmation, so keep the chat coming. You guys are like, oh no, okay. So what, yes, thank you. Carrie, gosh, you're quick. I love it. You're just like, oh my goodness. I need Carrie every time I do this. So one thing that I remember, I thought this was really good. It's the only email that I think I keep subscribing to, a really great thing. So video, I was talking about educational content, having a course, but I also think, having an email course has been really awesome. And so that's what I love. Like, for example, Gary Chapman has this feed, that kind of this email course that, and it's really nice, because that's the biggest thing. It's really relevant. And that's what's happening right now. I don't know if you've seen, but some people are still spitting out, we're going to talk about it in social media in a bit, but spitting out content that's not really relevant, but they've planned it too far ahead, that you're like, okay, this doesn't suit it. And so that's a great example, especially for some of you that maybe the video course is a little daunting. It's too much of a big thing to test. And that's why I go back to the Hansel and Gretel, test different things. If people really like learning from you, a great start, if you like to write, I know Alex, there's a writer here, Alex Carr. So Alex, I don't know if you're still on, but this would be a great opportunity for you, not only for you to do an email course, but to actually to help other business owners. Because one of the biggest things is that there's a lot of people that really struggles with writing. Writing is becoming almost, in a way, a lost art. And I think having those people that are strong writers is so crucial for the communication of your brand, because you might have a video, but at the end of the day, people are reading. And if we're looking at, people are reading captions now on the video. So it's so crucial that what you're communicating, people are digesting it, they're understanding it. And so this is a great opportunity with emails setting up an email course, it's really, really simple. You might do a 9-week thing where every week they get one email, really short and sweet, and it's giving them a little bit of content. And that's a great way to start to educating your audience, getting that feedback. And I love signing up for email courses because it's almost like, you know, throughout your day, you check your emails, but you get that little, like once a week, that little thing that you're learning about. It's almost like I call them tapas. And that's where digestible little things that people can, you know, have during the day is having these little like educational tapas. And we don't always need a 3-hour course or this big course, but we just need little bite sizes of information that helps us. And so for some of you that are a little nervous about this, or you're like, I don't have enough information to do a whole video course or to do a whole course, doing a email course is actually really effective. And there's tons of resources out there to actually set that up. Now, the biggest thing it comes down to, when we're going to look at social media in a second, but people are starting like, what's the, you know, how often, what's the frequency of all this? And I was actually chatting with my brother, and he works a lot with this, especially when everything's optimized. There's, you know, all the machine learning, it's kind of picking up if things are being sent. If anyone uses MailChimp, you know that it goes into the promotionals tab for Gmail, people that have Gmail. You know what, guys, imagine, I love the word tapas. Yeah, too bad I couldn't like digitally serve here. Everyone gets a little tapa. So what is, yes, frequency. So a lot of times it's like, well, I don't want to bombard my customer or my followers, but I also don't want them to forget about me. And so when you look at the, you know, what they're doing, especially on the email platforms, if you're sending too often, so if you're sending an email, unless it's an email course, it'd be different. But if you're sending an email every couple of days, you're spamming them, and they're going to pick it up as spam, and that actually email is going to go to spam. It's not even going to go to their inbox. But then if you're going over 3 months, it's going to see the infrequency of it is so drawn out that it's going to actually register as spam. So it's really important that you have a consistent thing that's in place. So, you know, once every 2.5 months is probably perfect, you know, or, you know, if you have that once a month newsletter. But the thing is with emails, you don't want to bombard people, especially when people, you know, 2 months has gone by and they have so much to say, and then they write pages and pages, and people just don't want that. And so that's why I keep it short and sweet. Have something where, you know, maybe there's a link from that. If they're really interested, it takes them somewhere else. But less is more in the case with a lot of this kind of material, that you don't want to overwhelm your customer and you don't want to put out too much. And so there's, like I said, there's tons of different templates. If you're using Squarespace or using Wix or Shopify, they all help optimize for you to build in that email piece. And I could go into so much more detail into testing your audiences. But what I'm going to jump into social media. It's the most popular topic everybody wants to talk about. That is where, you know, most people are sitting, generally speaking. But at the end of the day, again, all of these things, from your email to your video content to the word of mouth, your social media, at the end of the day, it's going to you're driving it to your website. We want everything. It's housing all the content. It's housing the opportunity for people to buy in greater, you know, like Instagram and Pinterest and stuff. There's now opportunities to purchase. But really what we're trying to do is we're trying to draw all our traffic to that one place. And so the biggest thing is, I've ran so many different social media courses. And I think the biggest thing to remember is, you know, there was a great quote that said, you know, write the book you want to read. And I think it's really, really important that we remember who we are, that we're not trying to replicate what someone else is doing. And it's so cliche, and we've heard it so many times, but yet we still see it. And Amanda, exactly. And that's the whole coming back to, is that piece of authenticity. And I'm even hesitant to use authenticity. It's kind of the word entrepreneur. What does that mean anymore? You know, what is being authentic? And And I think that this is the most beautiful time that we've ever had as humans, in a crazy way that the world is forcing us to slow down. And this is a time to really look within. And there was an article I read, and it was beautiful, and it was called Growing Inside. And I think this is the time to grow inside, for us to really take a step back. Instead of trying to keep up with the noise, keep our engines running, keep churning out material, keep putting out content, we have the opportunity to take a step back and really think deeply about what is our mission on, like, as philosophical as this might seem, what is our mission on this planet? What are we here to truly do? Because at the end of the day, right now, more than ever, people need us. Each one of you women are leaders in your communities, and leaders in the work that you're doing. People are looking up to you. And so this is an opportunity for you to look within, figuring out the voice that you want to have. And for a long time, maybe you've just been kind of like, I was talking to a couple women we were doing the Connect program at Queen's, and one of the girls had mentioned, she said, I feel like I'm just putting out content to put out content because that's what I'm supposed to do. But she's like, I'm not really that interested. And I said, is it that you're not interested in social media, or is it that, oh, cool, see me, awesome. Oh, great. Okay, beautiful. This is why I have a whole book club on here too. So I asked her, I said, is it the social media piece, or is it maybe what you're sharing? And I think after some discussion, we recognized that it was actually her just not feeling very connected to the material that she was sharing. And it's interesting because she was really passionate about her work, but the stuff that she was sharing was very surface level. She couldn't be sharing. I agree that it was more about, she was just sharing for the purpose of sharing. Thanks, Joan. I love when everyone jumps in. This is so, thank you. And so it's really, really important right now to truly take a step back. Like, the world's going to keep going, and I'm telling you, the live feeds are blown up. No one's going to miss you if you take 2 days, 3 days right now to really shut the noise off. Figure out who you are, figure out what your voice is, figure out, and it's like, well, what does that mean? And I think the biggest thing is, go back to your childhood. If anybody kept journals, if anyone, has stories or pictures, and remember, who were you as a kid? What were you naturally drawn to? What were you always doing? What were you excited about? What were those things? And I think when we can go back to what, as a kid, and I always think, I love teaching. Like, I'm the second oldest of 8 in my family. So I had a lot of people. I don't know if you guys remember the ice storm, but oh my goodness, there was some good times in the basement with my 10 of us sleeping around a fire. But I remember I was obsessed with teaching my younger siblings. Anything, I learned something and I want to teach them. And so I remembered, as much as like, I love being a musician, I love performing, I love all these things, but really at the end of the day, what my calling, I believe, is to help teach people while I'm learning to teach people. And that's where I always was. And so it's really going back. I love this. Sorry, Becky. I'm like, my ADHD brain's like, read this and keep talking. I love it. And I agree. This is a time for us to slow down, to really reflect. And like, at the end of the day, we recognize this is a terrible time. A lot of people are really struggling. And, I understand I'm in the process right now of figuring if I have to permanently close my studio, because it's not going to be, it's not feasible. You're paying thousands of dollars a month for no one to be in it. And so it's a very, very scary time. And I'm with all of you. Like, I am anxious. Some nights are terrible sleeps. You're kind of thinking, what's going next? But I do believe at the end of it all is that there is something, we're meant to be here doing what we're doing. And so this is the time to figure out, as much as we go into, what are all the hacks on social media? And we can go into that and, what's your brand? But the one thing that we forget to ask ourselves is actually who we are as women. What is our role? What are we doing? And like, less is more. If you don't have something to say every day, first of all, you don't want to do that, but you really want to figure out exactly what you're saying and focus on a medium that's going to work. So I was, I'm being a little, I'm contradicting myself because I've said, put a whole bunch of things out there, but I'm also saying focus on one thing. So with our channels, we can recognize the conversation that we're having. So for me, the conversation that I have, I would say my personality is the same, but the conversation I have on LinkedIn versus the conversation I'll have on Facebook or Instagram Messenger are all very different. There's a colloquialism for each one of them. And it's really important to find where you feel comfortable, where your material, so what you're saying. So if you're providing a service or a product or both, where is your people? Where are they sitting? They could be sitting on Facebook groups and you're just bouncing to different Facebook groups specifically on a topic. You might find that you're building your own groups. You have your own kind of network. You might find I have one girlfriend, she's strictly 100%, everything she does is on LinkedIn. She says all her clients, everything she gets on LinkedIn, where I remember when I changed my profile picture on Facebook, I would get a job for photography. So it was kind of like, you have to recognize where the conversions are happening. And so that's why before we kind of start diving deep into any of these things, it's really, really important. And I stress this so much because now is the time for us to really sit back, understand who we are. And these are challenging times because probably some of us, I'm extroverted. So being locked alone in my apartment, I'm on day 9. I'm like, I'm going crazy. So this is awesome that we're all here. But at the end of the day, it's really forcing me to be like, okay, who am I? What am I going to just sit here and go crazy, or am I going to, channel all this energy that I have and connecting with people? And so I said, you know what, every morning I'm going to get up, put on my makeup, do my hair, put on an outfit, and I'm going to make a call and set up an interview with someone. And so it's forcing that meeting. And so now it's become every day, it's actually getting a lot better where I'm making those connections and you're forcing yourself. So with your social media, this is a time to kind of do a refresher. Look at everything. One thing that I did that I found was really helpful is reflection, especially when I was teaching the metacognition, realizing, looking back and seeing where you are is really important. So something that I did, and some of you, it might seem a little wasteful, but you do it once a year, was I actually went through all of my posts on social media, Instagram and LinkedIn and all that. And I actually cut out, it did take a day, but I went through all of them and I laid them out on the floor. And I just made them small so you can have 6 on one sheet of paper to make sure you're not wasting paper, and lay it out on the floor and looked at all the patterns. And I looked at the patterns of the material I was already putting out there. So, and the engagement that was happening. So I recognized, okay, I'm doing a lot of educational stuff and a lot of travel, and people really like these things. And so it's really kind of nice to get an aerial view, get a point of view that maybe you're not used to, print off these things and start looking at the patterns of where people are going, where people are interested in you, and what's natural, what you're already putting out there. And pay attention. I know this seems crazy, but pay attention to things that you're sharing with your friends privately. What are the conversations? What are the links you're sending them? What are you excited about? Because a lot of times we wonder what is my authentic you? The authentic you is the stuff behind closed doors that you're already naturally doing, that you're excited about. And that if you are already doing that, the number one most successful business, this is a great time right now, is that the most successful business is the things you're already doing and you can actually formalize it into a business. And that's where the beauty lies. And that's where there's social media. It's like taking the passion, the excitement, who you are, the excitement. Social media is only as powerful as the energy that's connecting with it. So if you're kind of not that excited about what you're doing, and then you're using all these platforms, people can feel that. And that's the one thing, people are really smart. They know immediately if this is just a post to post for the sake of posting, or you're truly excited and passionate about it. And so that's why I always say, start with who you are. How authentic. What's your passions? What do you love to do? What do you love to share? What gets you excited? And if you can have all those things that connect with your business, then find the mediums of those vehicles to actually share those pieces of information. You know, there was someone I love following. They did 3-second videos. It was awesome. That was their way of communicating. They saw, they were on the spectrum and they saw the life in little snapshots. But that was how they saw the world. And so they shared that, and that became, that was their way of communicating. And other people that appreciate it, that's the thing. There's billions of people in the world that you might, like, if you reach, like, even, like, there's millions of people that are going to love what you're doing. And so if you can't be authentic, then it's going to make it really tiring. You're going to hate social media. And I wonder how many people out there find social media so exhausting. And if you find it exhausting, then you're not doing it right. And I'm not trying to be, because I love social media. I get so excited. I wish I could spend all day just like creating content and putting it out there. But the reality is we all got to get paid and like do the stuff that we can't always do one of those things. So Erica, thank you. So you're one of those people, and this is, and it, it's, oh yeah. So, and it can be exhausting, Leah, having all these pages. So one thing I learned, I consolidated. I took all of my pages. I think I had at one point I had 93 platforms that I was using. Yeah, guys, I know. It was like I went to the point where I was like, I feel like I'm going crazy. So consolidating, it's kind of like consolidating is really important. It did take me 3 months to consolidate all the accounts and doing things like that. But I get caught. I still build other accounts here and there. But I think the biggest thing is, if you are a solopreneur and you're building something, if you can put it all under, the thing is, a lot of people think that they need to put the business under the business name. But perhaps you're someone that's like me, that's always starting a new business, building a new project, trying something new. I recognize that it was easiest, and as vain as I was worried that it was going to come across, I hated being like, everything's under Claire Bouvier, but like, that's the only thing that I could actually wrap my head around, is like, Claire Bouvier is someone that does lots of things. And so that's going to be the consistent thing. And I chose a hashtag that represent all of them, was spread your awesome. Everything that I do is like really trying to get people to share their awesome, to put it out there in the world, whether it's the Loft Girls helping people dress in a sustainable way, or it's, taking photographs of portraits and trying to find their awesome. And so that actually took so many years. And I feel like some people, I can see where they're going. It can be really overwhelming because you have all these different hats you're playing. But the thing is, why not ask yourself, maybe it's because you're the superstar, you're the name that everything should be fall under. And also for the organization, for me, it was only an organizational thing. I was like, I can't manage all of these different accounts, but I was like, but people will know if they're going to search for it, they're going to search for Claire first. And that's what the numbers were showing. And that's the thing. People will actually search your name and then figure out, especially if you're doing lots of projects. But if you just have one company and everybody knows that, and that's all you're kind of focusing on, then that makes more sense. But if you're someone that having this product and this product and this product and this service, why not brand yourself as a personal brand? And that's where we're going. And that's where getting into, I know, Amanda, if you're still with us, I was saying it would be fun. We did a personal branding workshop, and this is a great opportunity to look into that. But the biggest thing is, it can be very overwhelming having all these different social media channels. So the biggest thing is, I agree. It can be, hi Courtney. I was looking at some of your stuff last night, actually. This is so fun to see everyone. But I think the biggest thing is, simplify your life. And this is the gift that you're given right now, is to step back. Can you put everything on one page? And the biggest thing that I've always done was, put yourself in the middle and do the brainstorming, being like, what are all the things that you're doing? Does it make sense? Where's the umbrella? And I realized it needs to be me. And then underneath everything, Morgan, hi, you're awesome. Oh, everyone's here. This is great. So the biggest thing is really, it's the organization. And it's so funny because I would first and foremost see myself as a creative person, this and that. But the most important thing is I value more than anything in this world is organization. And it's crazy because organization is something I strive for every day. It makes me so happy. But if you can be organized, the creativity just explodes after that. If you're not organized, you're so overwhelmed by being organized that the creativity doesn't allow for it to be fluid. And I'm saying not organized that, it's so strict and rigid, but I think that it truly needs, you need to find an organization. And this is where a whole nother thing is coming up with a process. Something I learned, if anyone has a chance, Biz Launch, Andrew Patricio, I've just interviewed him. He's new on my podcast. I've worked with him the last little while. He's incredible. He's been working with small businesses for 24 years. I wish I had the book. I was going to bring it, E-Myth. If anyone can read the book, E-Myth. The importance, and I know we're going to go into, social media is a big thing, but the biggest thing is the organizational piece is that if you can be organized, and when I say organized, simplify. So you're going to say, you know what, I'm looking at my numbers. I'm going to drop, TikTok. I'm joking. I don't know if anyone's using TikTok. But, I recognized about 4 or 5 years ago. Awesome, Carrie. Gosh, you're good. I just get excited every time how fast you are. So it's really, really important that you have that organization. And like Carrie said, having that routine. And I'm finding, so much more material can come out of being organized. And I remember about 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm just doing Twitter to literally keep up with people that want me to do it, but I'm not doing it for me. So I got rid of Twitter. Funny enough, I started working I have a lot of government contracts and they're all on Twitter. And so it kind of, I've re-jumped into that world and I find there's a newfound, I'm getting excited about it again. But the thing is, if you can look at your channels and truly look at what is the greatest impact. It's okay to shut something down or maybe have it hidden for a bit. I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to be running all these platforms. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I felt almost like guilty. It's like I'm quitting, something, but really it's just because you want to have a greater impact on a platform. Amanda said, how did you consolidate, move people from following one page to another? I get clients from my dog's social account. So great. So it's true. So, depending on, obviously for me, a lot of things, for a lot of the stuff that I do, we're very like in the arts media, it was very connected. So, if someone was following, my photography, then they were more likely, and it's fine. So you can merge pages, and that's kind of what I did. And I probably lost realistically 1,500 people, but that's okay. Because like at the end of the day, it's quality over quantity. It really, you want the people that are following you. And this is something that took me like years because I was getting so stressed out. Like I realized I had 93 accounts. I was trying to like just keep them all running. And then you're thinking like, for the point of what? And so I still struggle with it. But the idea is that if you can at least start considering the simplifying and recognizing. And the biggest thing is maybe some of them are just things that you're going to share with your friends from now on. Maybe some are going to be more business, and you have to figure, and that's what the biggest thing is, getting organized and figuring out what your goals are. Where are you trying to work towards? If it's just trying to get followers, I hate to be harsh, but who cares? Like, who cares if you have 1 million followers, if you're not making an impact, if you're not changing? I can tell you every single contract, every job, every speaking, I've been able to speak around the world. I've been able to do work here locally. And guess what? They never came from social media. They all came from back to the warm leads, back to the word of mouth, back to those communications. But the social media was almost like, how your old school resume, when you put like, you'd write down like your, oh my gosh, I'm blanking, your recommendation. No, what's the word? Help me out. When you call someone to get their References. Woo! Yes, thank you. So references. So you know how you wrote that? Well, that's what social media is your reference. And that's why going back to getting features, that's why it's so important to have reviews, have people, plugging, giving your testimonials and stuff, because what you're going to get all the traction, you're going to get opportunity offline, maybe online, depending on your business. I'm speaking from my experience. Again, I see it a lot, but it just depends. But online, your social media is your reference check for the world. I know when someone says something, I jump on, when you're like starting to date someone, you jump on, you Google them. You're curious about someone, you jump in, you Instagram them. Joan said, oh yeah, great. That's Talia. Awesome. Anyways, so going back to that, that's like the big things that I'm going to get you. I'm challenging you today and over the next week is to really look inside, grow it inside, figure out who you are. Because if you can do that, then you have an amazing opportunity to do a great impact on the world. And that's, at the end of the day, you got to think about, if you're running your social media for the next 50 years, why are you running around like a crazy person trying to put up this post and that post? Allow for slow growth. Allow for an organic growth. Too many times we feel this urgency because you turn on your phone and people are posting like this and that. Like, who the heck cares? Take the time, create something beautiful, do something that's meaningful, have something consistent. So if it's once a month, it's once a month. And then you find the process gets easier, faster. You can do it every 2 weeks, and then it's every week, but don't kill yourself. And that's one thing that I see so many people killing ourselves. And I totally agree, Carrie, that this is an amazing opportunity to take 5 minutes every day, do a review on someone's business, especially that's been really meaningful to you. And I think I saw a post going around. It was like checking in with people that, might need that. But this is one of these things, Carrie, you're awesome. But one of those things that is really important is that we need to support each other more than ever, especially if you've worked with them. And it could mean the difference of someone looking at and them getting a job or not. And it's really, really impactful. So Kaylee asked, how do we convert online into sales? And that's a huge thing to tackle. There's a million different things, but I think it's really based on the nature of how it's happening. So Kaylee is an esthetician. She has a lot of services, a home-based business. Maybe Kaylee, you can give me a specific example, but if not, I can make up an example, and for the person network. I love that idea. I think a mastermind group is actually, I'm building that out. So I'm very excited. Stay tuned. I'm working with another program. I'm doing a mentorship mastermind group. So stay connected, everyone. I'll share that information. But I think going back to what Kaylee was asking, how do we convert something to online sales? And the thing is, content is great, but followers outside of my service area doesn't really help with gaining customers. I agree. And I think, Kaylee, I remember I use your story because it's really interesting. Kaylee, we had this chat, and I hope you don't mind me. Can I share, if you're okay with me sharing, about you, about taking advantage of your neighborhood? Okay, great. I love what Kaylee had this, she was saying, social media is great, but she's a home-based business. So if people are coming, it's very geographically, and Kaylee, this is going to be great. So when Thomas jumps on and talks about Google My Business geographics, this is going to be really important for you. But what I can say, speaking from my perspective, is that perhaps what Kaylee did was actually just to let her neighbors know. It was more of, I think, a security thing at this point. So if people in the neighborhood were worried about cars coming and going out of her house, she just let everyone notice, or let everyone in the neighborhood know that she had a business. And by just doing that unintentionally, she actually, and yes, Kaylee is the spa exclusive. I've got my nails down there. It's actually beautiful down there if you guys are in the neighborhood or not, having when we're not isolated, we can all go over. So what was interesting, and this is where kind of sometimes you accidentally fall into these situations. So Kaylee, her sales from online, from social media, or not social media, but from her just actually going door to door and letting people know that she had the business because she had the intention of just informing her neighbors, turned into all her sales today. And so that's something we can't forget, that the power of that word of mouth, the power of actually making face-to-face connection. Her business feeds off people in a local environment, geographically located. And so for Kaylee, for something like Kaylee, that you already have these customers, they're online, this is an opportunity for them to, maybe you have discounts, or maybe you have little coupons, or maybe you have little fun things for them, that it might not be gaining new customers immediately, but it's for the customers that you already have. You're keeping that connection. And sometimes we have to remember that maybe our social media is not directly right now for sales. I've been using Facebook I would say, strategically for 15 years, but has never sold anything other than providing, other than Eventbrite tickets to come to an event to support the women that are coming. But I have 15 years yet to actually say I'm selling something on Facebook. I recognized a long time ago that was not the way that I was going to sell. I was not going to sell to the customer. I was going to sell to other organizations, companies, that they had money that they would provide me so that I could offer services to the customer. I didn't want to spend, and this is we all have to figure out our way of doing it, and each person is different. So mine is very service-based. When it's a product, completely different. Shopify has tons of resources. So I have always been very hesitant to selling online because for me, I really had to build something offline. So it really depends. And I know that doesn't answer your question, but it allows that. I think, Kaylee, for you, especially, you have that audience. And I think for you, like, I don't know if you've done it, but you should be doing a walking tour of that whole, East End of where you are, and you're going to get so many more businesses coming. Now, the biggest thing is, how often should we be posting? Well, right now I'm telling everyone my sales is in person. Yeah, I agree. I can tell you the conversion rate is way higher. Yes, it's a little more uncomfortable to do sales in person, or because we can be hiding behind a computer is easier. So Courtney, you too, exactly. And I think we forget about that because we think social media is going to be the answer. But I tell some people, like, maybe for some people, for some of you listening, social media actually might be just a tool to remind people that you exist. You might not be trying to sell, and people can really feel that. So maybe you're just providing your social media. You've decided it's going to be educational content and connecting with your audiences. And your selling can happen in email marketing. It can happen. So you got to figure out where your sales funnel is, how you're going to do it. Remember, go back to who you are. What's that authentic voice? What do you where are your sales coming from right now? Well, if they're coming from, talking in person, then you need to ramp that up. And you know what's crazy? For those of you that don't know, oh, that's okay. Hi, Carrie. For those of you that don't know, the post office, they have a crazy deal that you can actually, in your area, you can say, this is my demographic. These are the kind of people I want to reach. You can actually mail out something in your area. And I know, Kaylee, I'm not sure if we had talked about that at one point, but that's a great option as well, is like, what happened with like mailing out like to 20 people, like a very intimate, letter that's connecting with them, because that conversion rate, it might take more effort to put in, but the conversion rate of the sales is going to be much higher. And I see it every single time, but we spend hours and hours trying to, yes. Kaylee's gotten lots of husbands on the way. So, hey, there's the new Tinder. Maybe not, that could get really creepy. So the biggest thing is recognizing what your voice is, and that for some of us, it might just mean dropping off some of the, the channels that we're using. We're realizing Is there any conversion happening? Are people even interacting? And again, some people give up too easily. Like I'm saying, I've been sitting strategically using Facebook for 15 years. And honestly, it just takes a long time for the customer. And why you build your following, why I built my following, is that there's just consistency. And I'm talking, I would write maybe an article or something once a month when I started. And so it doesn't have to be something really, really overwhelming. And I know, the sweet spot is maybe 3 times a week you're posting something, and it doesn't have to be something crazy, but it could be a story on Instagram, but 3 times a week. Once you get into 4 or 5 times, you're actually it's too often, and the conversion rates aren't as effective. People are starting to turn off, and you can become spammy. So that's where the sweet spot is. 3 times a week, 4 to 5 might be too often. The thing is, so many people, it kills me, they plan their social media out way too in advance. Look at the world today. If you did that, guess what? You'd have to recreate all of your content. It's so crucial to be relevant. I would say a week out, max 2 weeks out, figure out what your social media plan is, what you want to share. And it doesn't mean you can have a plan, you can have your time set out and having all that, but having your content, it depends. Unless you have, like, I don't know if you guys know Marie Forleo. She's Marie TV. So she like will spend a whole day and film all of her YouTube videos, and she'll roll them out. But the thing is, if you're not doing something like that, I really encourage you to stay on top of what's happening. Keep it really current. Does reposting what others share count as what you share? No. Personally, well, actually not even personally. This is statistically proven. People do not interact very well with shares. If you can. And that was a comment I made. I don't know if Zoha is on the call right now, but I saw Epilepsy Ontario. I was checking on everyone's profiles, and they had shared some recipes for people. And what happens is, when you share something, sometimes when you're sharing, it might not be as good as what you can do. What I would do is, instead, if you can, stay away from sharing, in the sense, unless it's like incredible, but those people that are sharing, it's like, it's not your voice. It's not coming from you. So unless it's totally exactly almost identical to the voice that your brand is, fantastic. But sharing is dangerous because you're losing that authenticity. You're sharing someone else's voice. And so it's really important to, you can obviously, I'm not saying not to share, but it's really important that you are creating the content. So how do you get around that? Well, one of the biggest things I love doing, and I feel like this is where we're doing, is that it's all about repackaging. So looking at someone that's done something awesome, giving them the credit, and repackage it into the voice that you have, because that's why your followers are following you. They're not following XYZ's, content. They're following you. They want to hear it from your perspective. So say there's an awesome thing out there, and obviously if it's a video or something, not possible. But what I would do is take the URL of that video, write something meaningful, then put it. So always keep the post organic. The reach, if you're sharing stuff, the reach is like drops like crazy. If you can actually take the URL of the video of something that you really liked and embed it and create your own copy, it's much, much more effective, and your conversion rates on engagement and other people interacting with it go up a lot more. It's much more effective. So there we go, Jeanette. She's a writer. There you go. And there's a lot of, like, I've worked with different ghostwriters and other people that are fantastic. And like, that's the thing, is like, work. If you're investing in your business, this is a great opportunity to invest in people that can help you find your voice, help you get, find the writing that you're doing. Sharing other people's stuff just might not be. Now, Jeanette, are you also a singer? Or did I see yes to being a singer? Oh, yes, we're almost, yeah. Oh, Carrie, I love you. Right, you're my clock. Okay. Yes. Do you think, are you, oh yeah. Okay. Jen, I was checking you out. Are you also, I saw that you're Acadian, so lots to chat about. Yeah. Oh, you have an amazing story. Oh my God. There's so many things I had going. Anyways, this is so excited. Morgan, would an example be instead of just sharing a podcast, making a podcast post about a few favorite podcasts and why they're valuable to you? Yes, Morgan, amazing. This is awesome because you know what? So many people are like, I need a good podcast. Be curators. If you are not creating your own content, curate. And that is so, so powerful today, is to be able to take, and like I said, I could go days talking about all this stuff, but instead of sharing exactly what Morgan just said, also, Lisa said, how about adding my perspective to a really credible post that has a huge reach? Yes, these are amazing, especially if they will like or reshare. Exactly. So putting your own spin to it is so important. When people just share something, it can be awesome. Yes, exactly. Carrie, an amazing, amazing platform that she started is Boss Girl, is having, curating that content, getting those things out there because it's a voice, it's regular, it's familiar, and you want to read about it. So these are really great opportunities. If I hear a lot of people feel like, oh, I have nothing unique, to talk about, or I don't have any new content, we'll curate the awesome stuff that's out there. So we have about 1 minute. I'm just wondering because Thomas is going to jump in for the next, should I save the giveaways and competitions? I could talk a lot about all that. Should I just do it now, take a break and then get Thomas to jump in, or should I wait till the end, Carrie? What are you guys all thinking? Do. Okay, now, giver. You guys are awesome. Thanks. Okay, I'm gonna go really fast. Okay, so giveaways and competitions. And guys, I apologize. Social media, I could go on for days and days and days on it. There's so many things, but at the end of the thing, if you can just remember, be you, and the rest will follow itself, and talk to people that are doing stuff already. Giveaways and competitions. This is a great, so it's all feeding back into getting featured in strategic partnerships. Giveaways and competitions. So you're going to hear from my brother in a second here, and it was really funny. They did this huge giveaway. The giveaway was, and you're going to laugh, like this is comical, but this is human behavior. So this is like, I've seen this actually 2 or 3 times on a smaller scale. This was the giveaway. The first giveaway was a trip around the world, anywhere you want it. Free, paid, covered. Then they did a giveaway for a $50 Amazon card. The conversion rate on people doing the giveaway was 4 or 5 times more than the one about getting a trip around the world. Crazy, right? I'm like, I don't know if anyone thinks that's crazy, but I think it's crazy. And that's when it comes back to is people want money. People, as much as like an opportunity and all that is great, and like for some like me, and maybe not everyone wants to trip around the world, but I'm like, oh my goodness, I would in a heartbeat. But people want money. So if you can figure out a giveaway or a competition that's allowing for, you've partnered up with someone, you're giving, I know when, I don't want to reveal because I was working on this, but one of the clients that I had worked with, they actually did a free lunch at their cafe. They had 1,200 Kingstonians enter their email and their information for a free lunch. Like, that's insane. Like, when you think about the cost per click, the cost per email, that's like ridiculous. So people would like something that costs money. So either it's money in a cart or money in a lunch or something that is so valuable. The conversion rates are much higher. I don't know if you guys, I had circulated, I don't know if Danielle's on the call, but she's awesome. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Yes Theory guys. Anyways, they just did a giveaway. It's so cool. And this is where you want it relevant, you want to get it really excited, but it's really tapping into the social enterprise movement and everything that's happening. The Yes Theory guys they won $70,000 for a competition they did. Instead of taking that money, they're actually taking that money and they're choosing 7 people around the world. They have to enter videos, and it closes today. So if anybody wants to go to Yes Theory, put in a video, and a small business, they're giving money out to the funniest or a video, or where they want to know how you're going to use the money. So you're going to get $10,000, but get this. $5,000 goes to you, and $5,000 is going to go to your local food bank right now. So talk about a giveaway, right? Those guys, instead of taking the money, I know, Jeanette, right? Like, instead of taking the money for themselves, they actually took the money. Obviously, they have millions of followers. They're able to do this. They took the money, they're putting it back into the world, and talk about a great brand for themselves, because they're becoming like, internationally, everyone's trying to get this money. And they're talking about, and not only that, the money goes to them, but it's also going to the food bank. So you can check out those guys. The thing is, what they did is on the giveaway, and this is the last thing I'll wrap up here, but on the giveaway, they allowed, and the biggest thing is, if you're doing a giveaway in a competition, allow the customer to have the easiest access to competing. So you don't want to have a hard level entry. You don't want to make any of these barriers on trying to enter the competition. What the Yes Theory, they said you can post on Instagram, TikTok, Instagram video, whatever, just send the URL in the email to them. And so that's the biggest thing, is make it easy. Don't make it easy for yourself. I mean, they made it for easy for themselves. It all goes to an email, but you can put it on any platform that works for you, which is really cool. So the biggest thing is any Office fans out there? The KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. Keep it really, really simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And that's where, look at other people that are really successful doing giveaways, and there's a reason why. They've made it really simple. They're not making you like and post and everything. We gave away an entire wedding. Wow. Becky, that's amazing. That's really, really cool. Holy moly. I like that. I keep it super simple. Yeah, I love it. Awesome. So there's lots of things, but I think the biggest thing is, if you can remember giveaways, it has such an incredible potential for reach to get all these new customers, is keeping it simple, but also giving, like, people want money. So if you can pair up with someone, it's a great opportunity, and give something away. And like, holy moly, you guys gave it a free wedding. That's so cool, Becky, especially the amount of people. So we're going to just take 10 minutes. So let's say 11:16. I'm like, oh, you guys will come back in 10. And any questions here? Like, I wish there's so many more things I want to say, but I know it's really important that we jumped. Cool. That's really neat. I really want to jump into looking at Google My Business. And I'm going to try and screen share so you can see, and I'm going to introduce you to my little bro. I'm excited to have him jump on. I don't know if he's there right now. Oh, sorry, quickly. You use headphones. Why? Is Amanda, are you asking me? I'm assuming. Yes, because there's a little speaker on my headphones, and it keeps the sound from echoing and the bounce back. Okay, sorry, man. I don't know if that helps, because without it, it can be really hard, especially. Hello, everyone. Aw. Yay. Aw. Kate, you're so sweet. This is great. Oh, yay. I like when some people have their cameras on. It kind of makes me feel better. All right, so we're moving into the last little chunk here. Like I said, guys, we should totally have like a virtual tapas and wine night where we can have conversation. I'm starting to realize this is a whole nother world opening for us here. This is really cool. Courtney, I'm down. Like, this could be really, really cool. And something just says, oh, hello. Oh, hi, girls. Well, this is great. All the love. So I just want to first introduce Thomas. Thomas, a little bit about Thomas. He's my brother. Like, as you know, there's 8 of us, but Thomas got his start in retail e-commerce brand as the only marketing hire. He took that company from 100,000 to 1 million in the revenue in the first 11 months. He then moved out west, splitting time between San Francisco and Vancouver while working for Dialpad and Uber Conference. In a little over a year, his focus segment, he went from 3 million to 9 million and helped grow Uber Conference from 25 million to 46 million in revenue. These are very big numbers, but working a lot in building and where we can go with using the resources that we had. He's also worked with Visual CV, and he was able to brought in 500,000 new users in 8 months. I don't think I want 800,000 new people. Can you imagine? That'd be very overwhelming for us. Thomas also specializes in SEO, pay-per-click advertising, and marketing automation and analytics. So Thomas, do we have you on the call?
Hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
Can everyone hear? Thomas is in Vancouver right now. And what time is it for you, Thomas?
It is 8:18 a.m. for me.
Okay. Oh, I love iPhone. Oh, there's Kaylee. So Thomas, I'll let you take it away, and I'll sit over here and I'll probably ask some questions too.
I actually live quite near English Bay myself. English Bay is fantastic. I can't imagine moving away from English Bay. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, Jeanette. But yeah, I'm Thomas Bouvier. If as Claire said, I'm Claire's brother. I've been out in Vancouver for a little while now. And I'm really excited to be chatting with all you guys today. It's always fun to talk about some of the work that I've done and how it's applicable to a lot of other people. Recently, I've been making a career change myself, where I've worked with a lot of tech companies in the past and in high growth areas, and a lot of those, the techniques and the strategy we use there, I'm now bringing over to local service businesses. And the real big benefit of that is within local services, there's not a ton of competition in a lot of these areas that in tech, they've been doing it for years now, and there's tons of players, and even the new players, the existing players, are all like extremely tuned in to, you know, the bleeding edge of what is happening in marketing strategy, automation, and every tool that's available to them. So right now I am working at a company called You Move Me. And if any of you guys heard of a company called 1-800-GOT-JUNK, we all used to live under the same umbrella that was called O2E Brands. As of, I believe it was October of last year, You Move Me was bought out from the O2E Brands, and the new owner of that brand decided to build a whole marketing team, a whole team from scratch. So I'm leading the performance marketing team there now, and one of the things we're working on is literally just a moving company. So it's really interesting because it's a franchise with 22 franchises across the United States and Canada, and so one of the things we get to do is work with each of the franchises as their own unique small business. And so we have the resources of a larger company, but we're able to focus down to the individual franchise. So with that being said, the two things I'm going to focus on today is Google My Business, also known as GMB, and the second is SEO. More specifically, your local SEO. So basically, what the heck is GMB or Google My Business? And it is essentially your digital storefront that Google has on in their servers, and you can build your business into their digital storefront. And so why that's important is Google has noticed over the last few years that there's a few big players in the digital space that take up most of the real estate that is on your screen when you Google things like anything from gardening tips to movers near me, or pretty much anything you Google, a big company with a big budget has taken that spot, and it's nearly impossible to compete with them at a local level. So Google really given the power back to local businesses, to put a stake in the ground and say, hey, this is where I do business, and this is what we do. These are our services. This is where we operate, and this is what we do. And so why that's interesting is the level of flexibility it's going to give your business as a whole, and how you can actually be a big player in a small space. So how that pertains to your individual businesses is really up to you. But some important things you want to do is if you don't have a Google My Business or GMB account or page already, write it down, set up a Google My Business page. Whether or not you're a local business or not, it's so important just to have a page and start building something that's called authority. Ultimately, all Google wants to do is ensure that all of their customers that Google things get the best experience possible. And the only way they can do that is by looking at all of the information they have, and then highlighting the specific Google My Business pages, or the specific articles, or the specific pages that users spend the most time on, don't just bounce away from, and generally get the most quality out of. So why that's important is it's free. First off, it's extremely easy to do. And with Google My Business, it ultimately plays into your overarching SEO strategy. So by the way, Google My Business and so the two chapters I'm really talking about here, Google My Business and SEO, are really entwined in one another. You really can't have one without the other. So I'll kind of be bouncing back and forth between your local SEO plays and Google My Business. Okay, great. I've got some questions already. What is SEO? And saw somewhere that GMB no website. Okay, perfect. All right. So yeah, exactly. Search engine optimization is SEO. So all it is when you search for something on Google, you type in, let's say, studios in my area. And in this particular case, you're in Kingston, Ontario, and there's a number of different things that'll come up. You're going to find dance studios, you're going to find pottery studios, art studios, all kinds of different studios. And they're going to populate on your screen. And then you're going to have, and so essentially what is on your screen is what Google has decided is the most relevant information for the search term that you've put in. So your job as the business owner or the content creator is to find content and build pages that is going to be most useful to the person that's searching for things. So in this particular case, if you let's say you start a pottery studio and you want as many people in the Kingston area to know about your pottery studio, and you don't necessarily have the biggest budget in the world, you're going to start a Google My Business page that's literally going to be listed Pottery Studio Kingston, and then you can put a line and then your name. That way, when people search for Pottery Studio in Kingston, naturally Google's going to go through all of the options of the different articles they can put in front of you right now, and it'll be plain as day that Pottery Studio Kingston is the most relevant most relevant piece of content out of all of the content they've scanned through for that user at that time. And so what I want to talk about a little bit on the SEO side is because the chapter is outsourcing your SEO. Got another question from Carrie, just a second. Okay, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. So in case people aren't seeing the chat, Carrie asked, is Google My Business only for people who have bricks and mortar businesses, or is it useful for home-based solopreneurs as well, who may not want to share their home address? Yeah, so the thing about Google My Business is you have two options. You can have the page itself, and then you can either choose to share or not share your address. So you do need an address in order to sign up for Google My Business. Most people just use their home, but you don't have to share it on the actual page itself. Because there's a lot of people that do home services. There's a lot of businesses that just don't have a storefront for people to come and visit them. Like, let's say if you're a moving company, you may just have a warehouse and a truck and some movers to help you. You don't want people showing up at your house to say, hey, I'd like to buy some moving boxes. So in that particular case, you can have you can sign up with your address, everything, and you don't actually have to unveil that address to everybody. So no, you do not have to have a storefront. That's the real benefit of it. It is your storefront. It is your digital storefront for people to come and see and kind of check you out and see what you're about. And so yes, I hope that answers your question. Definitely very useful for home-based solopreneurs. Regardless of the project you're running, I would recommend having a Google My Business page. So one of the big benefits of Google My Business is, even in highly competitive areas, in highly competitive search terms. So let's say a very highly competitive search term space is in resume building. There's a lot of in my time in Visual CV, we are an online resume builder. There's a ton of companies that are spending between $50,000 and $100,000 a month just on building content for this specific purpose. So there's no way that any local business that's just starting or wants to keep a small operation can really compete with players of that size. But that doesn't matter, because if you're a local business, you really want to just focus on your local SEO. And Google My Business, what typically happens is, so if I was to search movers, because I'm actually going to just show you guys too. It sometimes helps to see movers in Kansas, let's say. So as you'll notice, you obviously can't really see, but I'm going to explain kind of what's on my phone. Is all of these first results are all just ads, and these are people that are paying about $10,000 to $20,000 a month to be in those positions. The lucky thing is, right here is what's called the map pack, and this is where, as a local SEO person, a local business owner, can really get ahead of the curve, because it's free and it's directly below ads that people are paying $10,000 to $20,000 a month in clicks just to actually appear in those positions. And so by not only creating your Google My Business page, but driving as many reviews there as possible. Anytime you complete a job or a service for someone that someone that you work with, it's really important that you drive a review there, because it essentially tells Google that I did a good job, and I can prove that by some of the reviews. So I'm just going to go and check in the chat real quick to make sure I'm answering everybody's questions as well. Where did I list my rural business with the biggest city? In other words, business on Wolf Island. Yeah, so that really depends on where most of your client base comes from. So in the case of Wolf Island specifically, so I want to answer that question so that you come away with something tangible that you can work with. since I know what Wolf Island is, and being from Kingston, I know how close in proximity it is. So within Google My Business, you have your address that you put in. So boom, put that in there, and that's probably going to be your Wolf Island address. But you don't have to share that with anybody. And then underneath that, you're going to see something that says service areas, and this is really important. So the service areas within Google My Business are all of, exactly as it sounds, all of the areas that you service. So within that, you can say Kingston, you can say Napanee, you can say Eastview, you can say Gananoque, and you can sort of broaden it out as much as you want. The thing about it is you can put up to 20 service areas within your Google My Business page, but you want to focus on where you're actually going to do the most business. Because yes, you could expand it out as far as, I believe it would let you go as far as Toronto, and as far as Ottawa, but you're not going to want to do that because there's so much more competition in Ottawa and Toronto. And since your home base is so far away, like, because if you think about if your business has like a light force, or it's strongest in the middle, and as you go out, it starts to weaken a little bit. So by the time you make it to Toronto, by the time you make it to Ottawa, your light force is a little bit weaker. But right packed inside, in the densest area, is where you're going to be able to have the most impact. Because Google My Business is very, they call it proximity based. So how close? So when someone Googles, so wedding photographer near me, depending on where they're physically standing in Kingston or Wolf Island or wherever they are, their proximity to that wedding photographer is actually going to play into how easy it is for somebody to find you, and how Google actually ranks you. So it takes into account your proximity, the reviews that are on your page, and then how complete the information is. And then if you have a website or something else, if the information on your Google My Business page matches what's on your website as well. And then it gets into a little bit more of the technical side of, how well your website performs, how fast your website is. And then you can kind of go down a bit of a rabbit hole on optimizing everything to the nth degree, which is obviously important to a certain extent, but I wouldn't worry about it at the beginning. I would mostly worry about getting all those pieces in place, and then you can start to sort of optimize them. Yeah, let me make sure that because I saw a bunch of things come in. I'm a wedding photographer, so I don't shoot at my home. My Google storefront doesn't show my home address, so it shows a broad range of where I do my work. Perfect. Yeah, so you're already doing it. That's awesome. John. Yeah, so yeah, there's some businesses, exactly like therapy, that can't solicit reviews, which is, yeah, I didn't know that particular one. I've never worked with a therapy related business, mostly tech and local services. So that's interesting. I'm sure the thing about those types of things is there's typically workarounds, and you can sort of figure out ways that you can get around that. Light force. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So remember the light force of kind of like where the center apex is of where you're going to do business, and really think about how far out you really want to stretch that, because you're going to lose density across the whole service area the further and further you stretch out. Yeah. So I kind of want to get into if you're dealing with outsourcing your SEO, because I think that's something that a lot of people, it's a big question mark, and that's super normal. A lot of the people that I've worked with in the past that have SEO as their job title, they know parts of what SEO is, and they know how to talk about it a little bit, but there's a lot of question marks around kind of what SEO is, what's the best way to do SEO, all these tips and tricks. But at the end of the day, all you have to remember about SEO is just, how can I create the best content for the people that are searching for it? And just always ask yourself that question before you post anything, before you create anything. Is what I'm creating right now the best possible thing for what people are probably searching for? So if you are a wedding photographer and you're constantly answering the same questions over the phone, yes, this is what I do. No, I don't do that. Yes, I do this thing. No, I don't do that thing. These are the, this is, possibly great content for you to work with and then put online. But the thing to remember about when you're working with, potentially hiring somebody to help you with your SEO, is really focus on starting small and going big. I mentioned a little bit earlier about, some of the budgets some of these bigger companies have, where some of them are spending, $50,000 to $100,000 a month just creating content. They could have, 7, 8 content writers on staff, and all they do all day, every day is just write content tailored for that business. And so the fact of the matter is, when you're coming into the game, you're never going to be able to compete with these people within 1 or 2 years, essentially, and without probably between $500,000 and $1 million investment in just creating content, really. And so, but that doesn't mean that all hope is lost and just to forget about doing SEO. The goal is really to focus on small and go big. So what I mean by that is focus on your local community, because no matter how big all these other companies get, they're never going to be able to cover all of the different areas in Canada, United States, anywhere in the world. So that's kind of where you have the competitive edge. You have the competitive advantage, and Google is really trying to help you out. They really want you to succeed. That's what Google My Business is. It's Google's, throwing you a bone to say, here, look how high I'm putting this in the search results, the map pack there. This is me basically putting a stake in the ground, showing you that I care about local businesses, and if you're willing to put some work in, then I can reward you by putting you higher in that map pack or putting some of your content higher on the page. And so that means if you do work in the Kingston area, or within Ontario, or kind of wherever your specific area is, really focus on that area. So tailor your content towards people in that area, or have tags within the content. So when you have the title of what it is you're creating, maybe you could say list of top 10 wedding photographers in Kingston. And if you are a photographer, it's likely that you know other photographers. And none of these photographers are going to be upset if you make a top 10 list of photographers in Kingston. And the good thing about this is, if you make these sort of top 10 articles, is first off, if you're confident in the work that you do, then you'll have no problem basically putting yourself amongst 9 other individuals that they could also choose from. At the end of the day, they have tons of choice anyway. But the thing that's really great about this is, a lot of these photographers tend to have their own portfolios and their own websites and their own things that they're doing on the side. So when you create an article that says top 10 wedding photographers in Kingston, you can list them all out, and then you can link all of their different websites, which get a lot of traffic within the Kingston area. And then so when people are searching for things, they're going to find your page, because there's likely not a lot of other content that's wedding photographers in Kingston, and it's the top 10. And at the end of the day, you're really actually reducing a lot of competition, because there's a lot more than just 10 photographers in Kingston. And if you're hosting it on your own website, then you have the ability to I guess tailor how the conversions happen. So you actually will have the edge at the end of the day. So that's just like a random one-off idea that sort of I want you guys to think about, is different types of oh, look at that. People throwing up some love in the channel. What's up?
I love all the fun that's happening. This is so exciting. Sorry, Thomas, I know what it's like. You're trying to like talk and read the channel, but we're all having fun over here too.
And I'm the world's worst multitasker. If I'm reading, that's all I can do, and my eyes glaze over, and I'm like, reading it. But yeah, top 10 lists, people love it. I mean, think about how many times you click on Facebook articles. It's like, top 10 like squeegees for washing your dishes, and it's just like, damn, why am I clicking on this? Like, I don't even like this, like, I never think about squeegees, and yet I'm clicking on this thing, or like top 10 remote controls for like a drone. You're like, I will never buy a drone, and I don't care about like any of this stuff, but I'm looking up not only drones, but like the remotes for drones. So it's like people like looking at these things for whatever reason. And by, top 10 lister is an awesome way to really take a really broad range of competitors and, and put them all basically in front of you. And they're going to love it on their end, because they're like, oh, great, thank you. Like, I would love to be featured in your top 10 list and be recognized as a top 10, fill in the blank. And then additionally to that, like, everybody wins, but the person that creates the article ultimately wins, because they're going to be getting the traffic. They're going to be getting likely most of the conversions. So any of the companies I've ever worked for, we have like, it's such an easy template to use. The top 10 sort of template, or top 5, kind of whatever you want to do, whatever you feel comfortable with. It's super easy to just sort of package it up, and then you just build your page to convert. Like, it's easiest for them to convert on you. And typically leave yours at the end, put yours as the last one, and show off everybody first, so they can go through and check everybody's portfolios out. Anyway, kind of went off on a bit of a tangent there, but I hope that was a bit useful. The point of what I'm trying to say is start small, then go big, because the way Google ranks things is they test you on smaller stages, and then test you on larger stages. Most of the companies that you see ranking really highly either have astronomical budgets, or they've been working at this for a really long time. A perfect example of that would be a company called Willy Dogs, or Venture Food Trucks. They've been in business for a long time, and they knew from the very beginning that Venture Food Trucks and Willy Dogs is actually a business in Kingston, I guess technically Napanee. And they've been in business doing this a long time, and they don't spend a crazy amount of money on creating content every month. Because I've worked for companies that literally spend $100,000 every month just creating articles. There we go. We bought our house from Willy Dog's hat. That's awesome. So there we go. People even know Willy Dog. This is great. I'm glad I chose that as an example. But why I chose them is because they don't have a huge budget for creating content for people to rank on. What they did was, back in 2000 and something, many years ago, they started creating a little bit of content for their local community. It did really well, and they started making hot dog carts and became developing what's called domain authority. And so when Google's looking around at all the different domains, so domain is just like the www.willydogs.com. That would be the domain. And over time, that domain gets a little bit more powerful, and Google recognizes the power of that brand and essentially gives it more light force, and more reach, more power. And so what Willy Dogs did is, they started way back then, created content for the local community. And that did really well. And Google said, boom, let's put you at the top of the list every time someone looks for hot dog carts in the Kingston area. Boom, check that off the list. Dominated local SEO. And they're like, okay, but let's not stop there. Started creating content for the Ontario area. Boom, that content started blowing up. And now anywhere in Ontario you're searching, Willy Dogs is going to come up hot dog carts, venture food trucks is going to come up. And then you just keep expanding, and then all of a sudden, Canada wide, the first or second or third results in the search is going to be either venture food trucks or Willy Dogs, and that's because they didn't just start and all of a sudden Google's like, yes, now you're recognized Canada wide. And then after that, then it became North America, and now pretty much anywhere you search in the world, if you're looking for hot dog carts or food trucks, you're going to find Willy Dogs or venture food trucks at the top of your feed. And that's really just doing this methodology of start small and work your way up. It feels like you're not really doing anything, but the thing is, this is free traffic. People that are coming through, it's because they want to read and they want to learn about what kind of business it is you're doing, and they want to be a customer. That's free. So it takes time. It absolutely takes time, but based off of any company I've ever worked for and very successful companies, one thing they all have in common is they're very consistent with their content creation and how they're building from small to big. And so why that's important for when you're outsourcing for SEO is there's a lot of people that are going to tell you tons of big and complicated buzzwords. Like right now, I could throw a ton of buzzwords at you, and you guys would be like, "Wow, he knows so many words," but it doesn't mean anything if it's not helping you. So be wary of people that throw lots of big words at you that you don't understand, and you'll throw up your hands and say they must know what they're doing. Boom. Here's $1,000, $2,000, $10,000 a month to do all the SEO for my company. Because chances are they may be doing SEO for you all wrong. There's SEO experts that only have ever worked at big companies, and so therefore they think they can work for small companies. That's not necessarily. It's a totally different ballgame for a local business versus a big business. So really focus on how simple they're able to make things, because if they overcomplicate things really with no reason, and you come away from the conversation being like, I feel like I actually am more confused now than I was before, then you're probably talking to the wrong person. You want it to be dead simple, because it's going to happen. There's so many players in the SEO space because it's hard, because of it's so hard to quantify all the time because it takes time. So, but from when you create something to when it has impact, people can sort of try and get away with, oh, this thing is going to help you so much way down the road. So yeah, just be wary of overcomplication. And I just want to make sure I hit everything, but I do want to save time as well for your individual questions, because I could talk about this stuff all day, but I want to make sure that I'm answering your specific questions, because I know I answered one from Wolf Island and then one for wedding photographers. So if you guys have questions about your unique situations, I want you guys to come away with something tangible that you can say, okay, this is what I want to do, or this is something I can work on.
Just jumping off that, thanks Thomas. Just jumping off that, the last 10 minutes that we have, I actually can't believe I was like, oh my goodness, how did 3 hours go by already? Maybe you guys are like, oh, I can't wait, but I'm like, I feel like even I'm learning always from you guys and learning from Thomas more about this kind of stuff. But, Becky, you're awesome. Well, girls, ladies, Thomas, we might have to have a part 2, but let's leave this last 10 minutes for just any questions, either for myself, for Thomas, out to the group, and then we can keep the conversation pretty casual, because I know there's probably a lot of different questions. So is there anyone that has a burning question out there?
I was just going to suggest maybe we could open up to audio if anybody wants to do an audio question, or you can ask it in the chat. So whatever you feel comfortable with.
Love it. Thank you. Jeanette, you have always questioned. Morgan, oh, everyone's over there.
And another thing too is if you're wondering, like, I don't know if I have a good question or whatever, maybe just say what your business is and we can talk about it for a couple of minutes.
Or we can sing.
Because a lot of times people don't even know kind of what question to ask. So, okay, here we go.
I have a question. Sorry, I have a quick question.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Anybody. Sorry, I heard from a couple of people there. So
Sylvie.
I have you on the screen right now. Go ahead, ask.
All right, thanks. So my business is helping small startups like with their basic bookkeeping and organizing, and it's really across Canada. We service all of Canada, English and French. So and I do have a Google My Business account that I try to post on, and I know I've been focusing more on sales because I'm still learning. It's only 2 years old, and I've done a lot of building on the development and all of that. But to start small, so does that mean that I should really, because now I'm in Prince Edward County, so do I start with like the Kingston and Trenton and Belleville area and in order to build to the other cities? That's the first question. And the second question, when I build my Google My Business, they said you can put provinces instead of cities, so I can be across Canada. But now after listening to you, maybe provinces wasn't the right thing. Maybe I should have done cities.
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways to think about that. And definitely with bookkeeping, it is the type of thing you can do Canada-wide because, it can be online and you can be helping people that way. Something to think about really, I would say, would be where does really map out where the bulk of your client base comes from today, and really take that into account and think about whether or not there's enough people in, let's say, the Prince Edward County area to actually dominate on in differently than Canada-wide. Because while you can go Canada-wide and you can continue to grow your business, it's really where you see yourself taking your business. So if you have aspirations to go Canada-wide, then I would say really map out what the plan looks like to go from where you are today to being, to being super competitive Canada-wide. Because ultimately, you really want to just be as competitive as possible in the spaces that you are in. And so that I would say, like think about it from that perspective.
I did mention is it's only for primarily for the self-employed. It's really not like complicated bookkeeping. It's really about keep it super simple. It's for the self-employed and the solopreneurs. So unfortunately they're everywhere. So I will take that. Thank you. I don't want to take too much time.
Yeah, no, and like one last thing, like because I want you to come away with some stuff too, is if you're looking for those sort of solopreneurs too, one thing I would say look in places where people are sort of earning their wings and starting businesses. So I would say things like Kickstarter, Etsy, GoFundMe, a lot of these like Kickstarter accounts where you can see these people are growing business and they're getting a lot of money all at once for a lot of times the first time. Sometimes just reaching out to them and say, hey, X person, this is what I've done for other businesses. If you're interested, let's chat. If it's not the right fit, totally fine, but I thought I'd leave the door open. So in looking those types of places, if that's sort of the route you want to take, because at the end of the day, sometimes SEO is not always the play. And that's something I probably should have mentioned earlier on, is sometimes you need to recognize when a particular project or a marketing program is just not right for your business. And so I would say focus on local SEO and build out that way. But doing your other marketing efforts, you can be looking all around Canada or, even in the States, based off of how the dollar is right now. But yeah, I would say maybe do a little bit of both.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thomas, I know there was a couple questions up there about if I'm a tech company and want to increase awareness, can writing articles help?
Absolutely. Writing articles to increase awareness. Yeah. So I would say be really specific about what your articles are about. It's the first ideas that come to your mind will be sort of the more broad strokes approach to the articles you're writing. So it could be like, it could be how, hearing is important for these people. And that's, I made that very vague on purpose because there's going to be a lot of competition for vague articles, because those are what make up most of the search keywords. So if you're trying to rank for content for your specific tech company, really focus in on content that's going to be very, very specific to the company, especially if this is a tech company that's relatively new, or within 1.5 years old, sort of thing. Those are called long tail keywords. So you can go on Google Trends and look up, you can just research for a couple hours, look up all sorts of different things, lots of like long tail. So long tail means there are lots of words, essentially. So it's just like a full sentence question. So those are really specific questions, and you can kind of get an estimate of how many people a month search for that particular thing. So that would be my suggestion for you, is go for these long tail keywords of specific things that also relate to the business that you do. Yeah.
I can ask my question by
Sure
voice.
thing.
It might be a little easier because you answered it in part, Thomas.
Okay.
I have an overall company I've had for quite some time, Scholar practitioners, deploying conflict navigators into organizations. But we've done a startup for the last couple of years teaching people in the public conflict first aid, which is like a specific product. And I just wonder, when I look at something like the Google business page and SEO, you sort of answered it when you said that SEO might not be the thing.
Yeah.
Should we focus on the marketing in that area, like, SEO and so forth, on the product or on the business overall?
I would say think about the budget you have to work with, and then work outward from there. So I would say take a look at the Google Trends around the product itself, and then the Google Trends for the topic itself. Likely the topic is going to be a more competitive SEO place than the product will be, because your product is specific to the topic. And so people that are looking for a specific solution to this overarching product are going to be searching for, as you might guess, more specific things. So yeah, that would be probably my suggestion there. And then,
That's great.
And once you start to build authority there, then Google will recognize you as a creator in that space. And then we'll start to sit. And so then for people searching for more broad things, will then be sent to your article as you build authority over time. And then now you're playing in this space over here.
Thank you.
Yeah. No worries.
Awesome. I think there was,
Yeah, I wanted to, someone said, make sure I work from home, sell online vendor. I'm new to build clientele. Also knowing about this. Oh, that was for something else. But yeah, I would say writing articles can definitely help. I would say one thing definitely take away from this is, if you don't have a Google My Business page, definitely get that set up. And don't just set it up, make sure that it's fully optimized. And if you don't feel confident in doing it yourself, go on Fiverr and you can pay someone $25 to set you up an optimized Google My Business page. And it's, if you think, okay, I don't have the time, or I don't feel confident in setting this up optimally, just pay someone to do it. It costs very little, 25 up to maybe, oh, perfect. Thank you for leaving that in the chat, Carrie. That's great. Yeah, so literally just type in Google My Business, and there'll be, tons of people searching for, I will optimize your Google My Business page, and just sort of, and then you can sort of give it off to them and they'll do it for you. But definitely, if you don't have a Google My Business page, definitely do it. And if you have a Google My Business page, go back, revisit it, go in, and it'll tell you some of the things you can still add into your page to make it better. Follow all those steps, make sure it's all in there, because it will absolutely help you. There's no way it won't help you. Google wants it to help you so badly.
Awesome.
Oh, you guys keep setting off my Google Home. Yeah, I was gonna say my phone's gone off like 3 times. It's
awesome. Thomas, thank you so much. I know that this is we could really go deep into a whole bunch more stuff. I know these are a lot of questions we're all trying to navigate, especially more than ever. All of us are figuring out what's the next step for our business, where are we moving, are we slimming back some stuff, where are we going to keep our focuses. So I think, looking at the end of the day, just kind of echoing what Thomas said, touching back what I'm saying is, most importantly, is go back to the stuff that's working right now. Keep focusing on that. Don't worry about getting too far out here. Keep it simple. And it's going back to that word of mouth, building the connections that are closest to you, the highest conversion rate. And then, like anything, like the SEO, like the Google My Business, start building off of, I like the light force kind of idea, but I think that this is an opportunity that don't try and get too far outside, keep it really tight. And I think, like everyone, I'm so hard, I'm like reading everyone's comments, but really loved hanging out with you guys. And it's funny because I just want to give everyone a big hug today. I'm really was enjoying this conversation, and there's, I think, a lot more. And I really thank all of you for sticking around. And Carrie, thank you so much for putting this on for all these women in Kingston. I think it's only the beginning of something awesome that's going to come out of all of this. And like I said, reach out if you have any questions. You guys, I want to keep all these questions. They're awesome. I've recorded half of it, so hopefully I can send out the recording, at least the audio. I'll take what I've done and put it into a podcast episode for you guys, and to jump in if that helps a little bit. And without further ado, I feel like I'm going to miss all you guys now. I had all my Friday with you.
So I think that you can see from the comments how much people have appreciated this, both Claire and Thomas. Thank you so much. I don't know about you guys, but I do feel a lot more positive than even I was feeling this morning. There's a great energy with this group. And I think, just anytime people get together and are focused on moving forward. So I want to thank you.